Hey everybody, welcome back to the Bourbon Note. I'm Greg.
I'm Ben.
And today, another thank you to a viewer. We're drinking bourbon. All right, Ben.
Bring it on in.
What do we have?
We've got BAM 1792 Sweet Wheat. All right, this is another one that was made possible by a viewer of ours.
Amazing dude.
Yeah, somebody named Kurt. We're not going to throw his last name out there because we didn't ask if we could throw his last name out there. So,
yep.
Kurt, thank you very much. Super excited about this because we're both 1792 fans, but we can't get the Sweet Wheat in Minnesota.
Or at least I've never seen it. Actually, I've never seen it in my life until I went to a tasting that Kurt happened to be at.
Yeah.
And he mentioned he had several of them and said, hey, how would you like to try it? So
yeah.
thank you so much.
Up until about 2 minutes before hitting record, I thought this was a wheat whiskey until I looked at the bottle.
Okay.
This is a bourbon.
Okay.
1792 is kind of known for having a high rye mash bill, and so this is apparently just their wheated mash bill, which I didn't know they had a wheated mash bill. I thought they just had a wheat whiskey, but let's get into it here.
I did
What's
not
the proof on
provide
this?
this much thought. 92.9 or something.
91.2.
Oh, that was close.
I'm sure it was in the information.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting nose.
Yeah. So I had this a couple weeks ago. I had a taste of it, and I'm trying to remember because it was in a flight with other wheaters of Maker's Mark and Larceny and so on, and this really stood out as being different.
Definitely doesn't have a. I mean, obviously Maker's kind of has its own profile.
Got a bright nose, almost like apple, crisp apple kind of.
I'm almost always stuck with getting that pink bubblegum note ever since we started talking about that.
But I'm not getting that on this one.
I'm getting it a little bit, but it could be just power of suggestion.
Yeah.
But there is a sweetness. This does, and if you gave me this, not telling me what it is, I don't know if I could tell you it was a wheater, but knowing it is and nosing it, it definitely comes off like a wheater.
Yeah.
You know?
All right, I'm going for it.
Cheers. Oh. Nice little burn to it. Like a heat burn to it.
It's like a roller coaster with like several different things happening.
Yeah.
There's like a nice kick and then another, like it changes and changes again.
Interesting, this doesn't have, it's got a nice grainy, weedy profile, which I love.
Yep.
I absolutely love that in a wheater that really kind of, you really get the wheat note out of it. Almost like that cereal Cheerio sort of note.
I was really thinking Honey Nut Cheerios.
Yeah, with like some spice around it.
Yep.
This has a heat to it, kind of like how cinnamon has a heat to it, but not a cinnamon flavor.
Exactly.
But it has a warmth to it.
Yep.
It's very interesting.
So it's almost the dry Cheerio, Honey Nut Cheerios, but then the wood spice kicking in at the end.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's good. That's really good. So I don't know if this is actually, excuse me, allocated or if it's just a distribution thing. Like, because I know if you try to buy this on the internet, they'll price gouge you for a couple $100. I'm sure if you saw it anywhere, on the secondary. But I think, like, I've seen posts on Instagram where people go to a store and this is like $50.
I think it's harder to find, and I don't know if it's because of the allocation or they don't produce as much of it.
Do you think it's allocated in the sense that like Eagle Rare is like one of those things where some places have it all the time, some places it's allocated, some places when they do have it, even though it's allocated, sell it for a regular price, and some places gouge it? Like, do you think it's one of those ones that kind of falls into that weird category where it's rare enough in the sense that the distribution is so limited?
I think something's causing it to be not available everywhere. It's either anybody who's a bourbon fan grabs it when they see it, and so it disappears, And I suppose that contributes a fair amount. And then there is some, price gouging type activity with this one for sure.
Sure. Or maybe they just don't concentrate on their wheated mash bill too much, and they just don't produce.
And they probably
that's
should.
why the distribution is. I agree. I think that's really good, actually.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting to get.
I think the finish needs a little bit of a kick. Like it, honestly, at 103 proof or something like that, it'd be, maybe a bit more interesting.
But yeah, I think it's got a lot of character to it, especially
Definitely.
at the 90. What was it? 91.3, 91.2.
Yeah.
It's interesting to have had other 1792 products. We've had all the main ones, know, and then to have a completely different mash bill from them.
Mm-hmm.
There's some company like Buffalo Trace has multiple mash bills, but like imagine if Wild Turkey did a wheated whiskey. Like it's interesting to see a company that you're used to just having the one mash bill do something different.
We're assuming it's their own mash bill. Maybe they're just sourcing that. I just had the thought, but it's probably Barton Distillery.
Distilled and bottled by Barton 1792 Distillery.
Right.
So it's theirs, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, really good actually.
And maybe we've had this a bunch. They normally sell it. It's a sourced wheated bourbon. That like I don't know McFarland's Reserve or someone else. Who knows.
It's easy drinking, but it still has enough of a bite where it's...
And some interesting character in the middle. Yeah. I think the finish is... and it's not a complaint. It's just noticeable. The finish could...
Doesn't last very long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I think it's really, really nice.
Yeah. If I was... Again, we don't get this around here, so if I saw this someplace for $50, I'm going to pick it up.
Sure.
Because we can't get it. But I think I would pick it up anyway. I would recommend at least trying this. If you've never had it before and you have access to this.
And the rest of their entire line is awesome.
It's kind of Old Elky.
Old Elk-y.
Yeah, like it reminds me of Old Elk a little bit. And I think wasn't Old Elk sourcing from MGP?
Old Elk was MGP, and they're starting to do
their own stuff.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me maybe a little of that because they're also wheated, and so maybe I'm just associating that. But yeah, it reminds me of some other wheaters that we've had that we've really liked. So. Yeah, really good. So yeah, if you've got this in your area, check it out for sure.
Absolutely.
All right, this has been 1792 Sweet Wheat on the Bourbon Note. Thank you for watching. I'm Ben.
I'm Greg. Till next time. See you next time.